Okay. When you lose weight, ideally we want to lose fat. That's pretty obvious. You don't. One of the disappointing things in the weight loss after surgery is that most of the weight loss in the first month is water, and then the rest of the weight loss is almost all muscle, against our wishes. Your body is doing something it shouldn't. It's burning muscle to provide energy to run the body. It should go into the savings account and take energy out of the fat. That's what fat is for. It's to store it. Like if you're a bear, you hibernate during the winter and you burn fat. Well, as an obese person, your body is not well set up to burn fat. That's why you're heavy in the first place. You're good at laying down the fat and storing the fat, kind of like Ebenezer Scrooge. You can save the money, you can't spend it. So we need for you to spend that, to burn that fat, but against our wishes, the weight loss in the first 4 to 6 months after surgery is largely muscle. Okay, that means you're going to get weaker. So we have patients who are weightlifters and do bench press, and they will tell me, they say, something's wrong, my bench press is going down. Okay, so you're losing muscle early. Now after a period of time, your body will put out enough hormonal demands so that you'll start to build that muscle back up, and against its desires, it will start to burn fat. And that can happen at 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, it depends on the person. But there will be a period where the body is basically burning muscle. And we can help a little bit with that. First of all, by recognizing it, you can do a little bit of exercise. Now, we don't want you to go crazy. If you've never bench pressed 400 pounds, it's probably not the time to start it the day after surgery. Okay? So exercise is good because it tears some of the muscle. It stimulates the anabolic signals to build new muscle. So some exercise is good. We also know that a couple of supplements now have been researched pretty extensively, and they really help build muscle. The best one that I think the best research is available on is something called creatine. Creatine is 3 amino acids, which are part of the energy cycle in the muscle. And when it's been offered to weightlifters, they actually are stronger. They build more muscle, they can lift more weights. So to stimulate your muscle in the postoperative period, you'll notice if you look in the manual, we recommend you take supplemental creatine.
How soon do we start that?
You can start at any time, just don't push it. What we want to recognize is the most important thing is to heal your stomach first. And so we don't want you coughing and sputtering and forcing down anything right away. But there's no problem with taking it at any time you feel like it. I'm going to come back to creatine in a minute, but I'm also going to mention that there's lots of similarly good research suggesting that whey protein, W-H-E-Y, whey protein, which is a byproduct of milk processing, is also good at building muscle and stimulating muscle mass addition with supplement with whey protein. So we recommend that as well. Finally, the single amino acid glutamine is a conditionally necessary amino acid. It's the #1 amino acid in the lining of the gut and in muscle. And supplements of that may help as well. So we recommend that you first recognize that you're going to lose muscle after surgery against our wishes. So if you're weak, moving around, getting around now, there's going to be a period, because of the impact of the surgery, where you're actually going to lose strength. And that's going to be more pronounced the more powerful the surgery is, and the power of the surgery is related to the length of the bypass. The other thing back to creatinine, just to let everybody know to finish that thought, is creatine initially was researched as something to build muscle in these kind of wacky muscle builders, you know. Then they started doing other funny things, like some guy for some reason said, well, if it's involved with the energy cycle in cells of the muscle, maybe it's involved with the energy cycle. It's involved with the energy cycle in the brain cells. So they took creatine to a nursing home and found old men, gave them puzzles to solve, and then fed them creatine. and they solved puzzles much more successfully with supplemental creatine. So there's research to suggest that creatine actually improves brain function. Because it improved brain function, another group of researchers said, hey, if it improves the energy in a brain cell, what would it do to the amount of damage to the brain in a stroke? So they caused a stroke in mice. Don't ask how, it's not pretty. And the damage to the brain was decreased in the animals that got creatine. So it protects against brain damage in stroke. And then they said, well, if it's helping the brain when it's given before damage, maybe it could help the brain after it's been injured. So they've now got about 4 studies where they took children and adults with mild brain injury and gave them creatine. And they measured the symptoms of mild brain injury, which includes confusion, headaches, and other things. And the creatine supplement in small studies has improved the signs of mild brain injury. Sounds good so far? All right, here's the big finish. Another group of researchers said, well, if it's so good, maybe we'll just give it to rats and see if it helps them overall. So one group of rats got supplemental creatine and the other didn't, and the group of rats that got supplemental creatine lived 10% longer. Can you hear me now? So let's take our creatine. We are now, the research is coming out on it is pretty impressive.